In the beginning of the movie, a wife saw that their neighbors were leaving their home in a hurry. When both reached out to help them, then the neighbors got scared. Outside, everyone was running in a hurry. Nick did not understand anything, but he decided to leave with the family. But midway, he saw the neighbors coming back very fast. Watching the situation getting escalated, Nick's family got scared, getting struck in traffic. They got to know that the army has sealed the only way to get out. Helicopters were evacuating people, and radios were blaring to return home. Some people started turning their vehicles, but Nick's family was shocked. They had no idea a dangerous virus had spread through the city, which is turning people into a very powerful and dangerous zombie. While Nick was in this dilemma, a stone fell on the bonnet of his car. When he looked up, sand was rising. Then 2 fighter jets came out with a loud sound, and they headed straight for the town where they used to live. When everyone was shocked, jets started bombing their homes and destroyed the entire town. Seeing this scene, everyone was terrified. If they had heeded the appeal made just now and returned home, the result would have been only their death. In a moment, thick smoke started rising over that city. No one was left alive there now. What was even more frightening was that both the jets, having completed their mission, were now moving towards them. Now everyone realized that Army's intention was to kill them. They were unable to think anything and did not have the courage to stay there, so everyone ran away hiding. Claire saw a water tower on the hill. An idea came to her, and she ran towards the hill with her family. Then the jets bombed again. The place where they were exploded, and her daughter Zoe fell with the blast. Seeing the brutality of the army, she could not dare to stay there and ran towards the hill school. There was an old bunker there. They didn't know if it would withstand the blast or not, but that was their last hope. As the plane approached, Nick broke the chain and went inside first. Just as the door was about to close, in the last second, a loud bang was heard from above. Nick's family still had no idea why the government was doing this to them. Despite their best efforts, they couldn't understand, so they had to stay there. Fortunately, there was plenty of expired food in the bunker, enough for the entire family. So they locked the door securely with a chain. And now he had no hope from outside. But life under the ground was very difficult. He had to eat the same closed box every day, which looked dirty, and had to drink dirty water from the well. In his free time, he had to pass his time by playing cards or hide and seek. This situation made them feel as if the world had come to an end. After about 5 months, Zoe's patience ran out, and she asked her father how long they would have to stay here. Nick had no answer. He simply reassured her that they would be able to get out only after the virus was eradicated and everyone was fine. But this wait went on for more than 300 days. Zoe looked out of the ventilation screen several times, but every time she saw the same devastation, the burnt house and the drowned girls. There was no sign of life anywhere. Still, Zoe did not lose hope. As soon as her parents slept, she climbed the stairs of the ventilation screen and started pulling the chain so she could get out. But at that time, no one had thought that the loud sound unknowingly made by their little daughter was going to bring a big and dangerous trouble for them. As soon as Zoe started opening the bunker, her parents came there and stopped Zoe, due to which the lives of all 3 were saved. But as soon as Zoe opened the tin can to eat, it turned out to be empty. Claire immediately checked the remaining cans, and they were all completely empty. The holes at the top made it clear that rats had made off with the food. The 3 of them realized that rats were moving in and out through the ventilation system. Claire reassured her daughter that Dad would go up and get the food the next day. Just then, the daughter's attention was drawn to a noise coming from behind. Hungry rats had made their way inside again, and seeing this, Nick immediately pulled out his knife. It looked as though he wanted to tear the mouse to pieces. He advanced slowly. Mother and daughter both held their breath, and the atmosphere suddenly turned menacing, but he missed. The small mouse began leaping wildly across the table. He struck again, but missed his mark once more. Just as the mouse was about to slip back into the ventilation shaft from between the mother and daughter, Claire immediately pounced on it. It was the first time Nick had seen his wife act this way, and he realized that circumstances can change a person. But before they could even steady themselves, they smelled something burning. Claire saw that a rat had knocked over a lamp on its way out, and it had started a fire. Nick tried to put it out, but the hot lamp burned his hand. The lamp burst due to the rise in temperature and pressure, scattering burning oil and engulfing the entire table in flames. Claire tried to extinguish the fire with a cloth, while Nick drew water from the well and poured it over the blaze. The husband and wife managed to bring the fire under control together, but thick smoke escaped through the ventilation, which could have exposed their hideout. So, the entire family began to pray that the smoke hadn't been spotted by the monster-like zombies in the dark of night. They spent the whole night living in fear. The next morning, Nick saw something even more terrifying. A thick layer of soot had settled on the mirror. This meant that as the smoke escaped, it had left a thick layer of soot on the ventilation system. To avoid detection by the zombies, the husband and wife took the risky decision to step outside and clean it. After unfastening the latches and hearing no sound outside, they opened the hatch. Zoe was left alone in the base as they did not return. She stepped out and looked through the telescope, watching her parents conceal the entrance to the tunnel, when suddenly, a dark shadow appeared in the distant forest. Zoe shouted loudly, but the distance meant they couldn't hear her. In her panic, she forgot her fear and climbed the stairs, only to find absolute silence outside. There was no sign of her parents anywhere. Just as Joe was about to panic, Claire suddenly covered his mouth. Instead of being happy to see her parents alive, Joy started mumbling loudly. Zoe pointed ahead. After all the chaos, it turned out that Joey had been frightened by the sight of a deer. Breathing a sigh of relief, Nick soothed himself, but Claire was puzzled. Why were the deer running? What was chasing them? Sensing danger, they returned to the base. Nick sealed the opening with iron strips and securely fastened the door with an iron chain. Once he had put multiple locks and security measures in place, he stood still and listened to the commotion outside. Nick calmed himself and meditated. He actually heard a sound coming from outside, one that gradually drew closer until it stopped right above his head. It seemed as if the zombie had found something strange here. It kept moving here and there, as if searching for something. Nick followed those steps and finally stopped right below the bunker door. A wave of fear ran through their hearts as the gate rang suddenly. Nick and Claire prayed that the gate wouldn't open. Suddenly, the zombies started pulling on the door. The door was locked with chains, but it was impossible to stop it. Soon the chains broke and the door slowly started bleeding. Claire climbed up the stairs and grabbed the door and tried with all her strength to stop it. Nick also broke the pipe at the last moment so that he could stop the door, but by the time he reached it was too late. The zombie lifted the iron door with force and brought its white, glowing eyes closer. Nick attacked it with a powerful iron pipe. The zombie was not expecting such a sudden attack. Nick immediately blocked the door with the iron pipe. When he heard the sound of footsteps going away, he breathed a sigh of relief. But they all knew that after finding this bunker, all those zombies would come here. Soon all three got disappointed and sat near the stairs, with some hope that maybe those zombies would give up and return. But it seemed unlikely that would happen. About 20 minutes then the cupboard in the storeroom started shaking violently. Countless sounds of heavy footsteps came from above, and finally the horde of zombies reached there. Immediately after which they all gathered at the tunnel's entry gate and started attacking the strong iron door. As soon as the iron door fell, countless eyes began to glow at the end of the dark tunnel. Scared, Nick hid in the storeroom with his wife and daughter. To stop the zombies, he set the curtain on fire and both of them slammed the door shut. But they couldn't stop them for long. There was no way to remove the slips. Then Zoe saw that the ventilation shaft went up. Nick climbed up and broke the latch on the table with a stick. Then he picked up his wife and helped her up. Luckily, all the zombies had entered the bunker through the entrance. Now there was no one above. This was the best opportunity to escape. After this, he turned and took his daughter out as well. Now only Nick was left in the bunker. Zombies were lying in wait outside. Without stopping, he tried to escape through the ventilation shaft, but because Che was small, his shoulders got stuck and he couldn't get out. Even though Claire tried to pull him out with all her strength, he couldn't get out. Nick realized that his body couldn't get out of it. As soon as they saw the zombies started to enter inside, Nick, despite not wanting to, bit his own arm and broke it. Seeing this, Classier did not delay at all. Using all his strength, he pulled Nick out, and the younger daughter also came to help, just as Nick was about to come out. A zombie finally crossed the wall of fire and took a step forward, grabbing Nick's leg. Seeing no hope of escape, Nick, at the last moment, told his daughter and wife to run quickly. And then he was pulled down. Claire leaned towards the bunker, weeping. Sounds of a fierce struggle were coming from below, and then she heard her husband scream. She realized that something terrible had happened to Nick. She couldn't even bring herself to cry. She simply grabbed her daughter and fled immediately. Where a highway had once been, there was now nothing but scrap metal and towering walls. And just then, the searchlight of a helicopter fell upon them. She found herself in a dire situation. She wanted to retreat into the darkness with the child, but suddenly, a large flying net ensnared them both. Meanwhile, dark figures with glowing eyes began to slowly close in, and that was when they realized these were not zombies, but a team of heavily armed individuals. But no matter whoever they were, they had no intention of letting the two of them go. Claire pleaded with them to spare her child, but the soldiers showed no mercy. They pulled out a large device and plunged it into both their necks. As soon as the blood filled the container, it was immediately revealed that both of them were infected with the virus, and the soldiers aimed their guns to kill them. In fact, the people of the city were infected with the virus from Duru itself. This virus was colorless and smellless and spread through the air. So many people got infected, but they themselves did not even know about it. He decided to kill both of them. But just then, blood suddenly began to pour from a soldier's neck. Nick had arrived right on time. Veins bulged on his face and his eyes were red. He looked like a zombie. Following the transformation, his strength and speed had increased. He easily took down the two soldiers. His speed was so great that no one could stand against him. Just then, the other soldiers opened fire in the nick of time, and Nick was killed right there. Once the soldiers were convinced that Nick was dead, they advanced towards the remaining mother and daughter, only to discover that both had cut through the netting and escaped. The team leader ordered to catch both the infected people as soon as possible. Zoe was hiding in the old car. As soon as she heard the sound, she hid inside. Then Claire attacked, and like Nick, killed many soldiers. But no matter how powerful she was, the bullets could not withstand her, and finally she fell on the bonnet of the car. Hiding in the car, Zoe witnessed everything. As she wept, her body began to undergo a transformation. Just as a soldier stepped forward to kill Claire, Zoe knocked him to the ground and started pummeling him with her fists. The man was on the verge of death when the wounded Claire stopped her. She did not want her daughter's hands stained with blood or for her to become a killer. But just then, it attacked Claire. Fortunately, Zoe reverted to her true form. However, the soldier wasn't as lucky. After his shield shattered, he too became infected by the virus, and now he was destined to meet the same fate as the others. As the helicopter searching for them came closer, Claire was forced to run with her daughter. After crossing the pile of garbage, they saw a secret bunker. To save themselves, both of them went deep inside. It was dark all around, and they had only the support of the lighter. Then suddenly Claire saw a bright light and saw Marco, the neighbor's child. He moved forward with both of them and finally stopped at a pit. Seeing Marco lifting the lid of the pit, Claire could not understand what he was doing. In the next moment, many familiar faces started appearing in front of her. In fact, many other people were also huddled here. They had to live like rats to survive. Claire went in and closed the manhole cover.